32 years old, you got a diagnosis that changed your life.
Yeah. Threw me for a super loop, like literally, pardon the pun, but lupus. Like it
Lupus.
was, yeah, man, lupus nephritis specifically in 2012. And here, living my dream life, you know, married to the most gorgeous, beautiful, super talented person to ever step on the planet. Literally my dream girl. We got 2 kids. We're in Aspen. I'm from the hood. I'm from the projects. You don't go to Aspen.
Who were you married to?
Mariah Carey. But it's like I'm in Aspen with my wife, and thinking I'm in probably some of the best shape of my life. Go to boxing 3 times a week. You know what I mean? Got my own home gym in Aspen. You know what I mean? Like, and I had the weirdest pain in my right side. And I'm thinking like a muscle cramp or like I'm gonna just jog through it. Here I'm in high altitude, jogging in the snow, thinking I'm gonna do like this is my Rocky moment. I don't know what I was thinking. And by the time I got back to the house, passed out. And I didn't know, literally Mariah came in and found me. And they called rushed me to the ER in Aspen.
How did she find you?
I don't know. I was laid out. And I think everybody, because, think it was that bad because I had just came from jogging in Aspen. They're like, oh, he probably got altitude sickness. You know what I mean? I was just dehydrated. So that's what the narrative we were going with. So once I got to the hospital, I just need some fluid, an IV, I'll be all right. Because that happens. It happens on the ski slopes. People my dumb ass was jogging in up a mountain. I'm probably gonna pass out. And I was only doing it to try to rid this cramp that I had. I thought I could work it off. And then the longer I was in the hospital, they were like, oh, well, maybe you have a kidney stone because there's something going on back there. And I was like, no, it wasn't a kidney stone. You got the fluid. You're no longer dehydrated. All right, well, maybe you got a kidney infection. And then they wanted to do a biopsy. And then through the biopsy, I think at the time it was kind of acute kidney failure. It wasn't full. I had caught it early enough to where my kidneys didn't completely fail. And then they found out the reason why is that my immune system was attacking my kidneys. Therefore, my autoimmune condition, lupus and lupus nephritis, to where, where your immune system can get out of whack based off of whether it's levels of stress, things that you're putting into your body. A lot of times it's not hereditary. They don't really know what the cause of it is. It's definitely related to stress, which I didn't think I was stressed out, but it's obviously there's various types of stress, where physical stress, emotional stress, but this can send your immune system out of whack, and therefore your immune system then starts to, self-destroy. It starts to attack the whatever organs. Different people's lupus attack different things. Mine specifically were my kidneys, which then created a bunch of other stuff like pulmonary embolisms. And so the lupus I started having these flare-ups, and it was doing a bunch of stuff to my body. And that, if you don't catch it, and control it, you could lose your life pretty quickly. So it was a scary time. I didn't understand it, but we got it in order, and even I feel like I got a good hold on it now, but every once in a while, it's a great reminder that health is wealth. Health is currency. Health is the most important thing next to time that we possess. And we can't control the time. We can control our health. You can control what you put in your body. You can control how well you take care of yourself. So my lupus is my alarm clock every morning, letting me know, you better do the right things. You better drink your gallon of water. You better take your supplements. You better, not eat too much sodium or processed. They're just a constant measuring stick to keep me alive.
How did that diagnosis change your life? So if I was in your life at that moment,
yeah,
before that moment, and then during that moment, you're married, you're still contending with work, and
It changed it so much. I became a different person.
For better or for worse?
Both. You know, certain things didn't matter anymore. Other things mattered too much. You know, I started to overly value relationships and time, but then that made me get rid of relationships that were taking up time and wasting my time. But it all became, I always felt like I had a ticking clock, but the ticking clock became more apparent in 2012, that I gotta make the most out of today because tomorrow isn't promised. My relationship with my children, all of my children, you know what I mean? Like a lot of that all comes into play to where like, what are you gonna do with the time that you have on this planet? What impact are you gonna make? So that's kind of, that's where, in a nutshell, what it did.
Emotionally, if I'm Mariah at that time and I'm dealing with a Nick that's contending with this new diagnosis and an uncertain future.
Yeah. She was my rock, man. She was, she went hard, you know, probably wouldn't even, I'll be honest, probably wouldn't be alive if it wasn't for how hard she went, you know, with the doctors, with me, my stubbornness, you know. She was the perfect helpmate, the perfect matriarch, the perfect mom, the perfect wife in those scenarios. Because granted, she's who she is and dealing with all the pressures of being Mariah Carey, but then being loving enough to take on all of my stuff. And, you know, it probably took a toll on us just because of the person I was in my head and the struggles that I was dealing with. So it probably took a toll on our relationship, but it definitely brought us closer together.
The struggles you were dealing with?
Man, just like, was I gonna live? What was life all about? Had I wasted my time up until this point? And if I get another shot, what am I gonna do? What type of, am I gonna be able to be here for my children? Am I not gonna be able to be here for my children? So therefore, what am I leaving them? What am I leaving the world when I exit? You know, staring up at that hospital bed, or from the hospital bed, staring at the ceiling all alone when everybody else is kicked out, and you gotta just, you know, be face to face with your higher power, asking all those tough questions. Am I done? You know, a lot of people, we don't do that because we get caught up in the constant rat race of just living day to day. But it slowed down for me on many occasions of like, it's a wrap. He's almost out of here. And I wasn't scared. That's the crazy thing when you get to that point where you're like, oh, okay, I had a good run.
Were you happy?
I was.
In that moment, when you're looking up at the ceiling?
I want to say I was content. I wasn't scared. And it happened, you know, more than once. And even, you know, it continues to. Like, I'm probably reminded of my physical mortality all the time. And when you're not afraid of dying, you focus on living. You know, it's anyone who's ever had a near-death experience, or anyone who's been in those quiet places of dealing with thoughts of afterlife and what this current life was for you, you live the rest of your days differently. And at least for, you know, a certain amount of time until you're reminded again. But yeah, man, I always say I won at life. I've lived several lives and I won them all. You know, so it's like I'm not afraid to go. Like, and even all of the things that I study and have prepared myself for. It's, you know, one thing, it's inevitable. It's gonna happen to all of us at some point. And I think others just deal with it better, and it makes you appreciate this life. Like, when it's all said and done, I guarantee you they're gonna be like, yo, he rode that motherfucker till the wheels fell off. like he got the most out of life. And, you know, I'll be known for smiling big, loving hard, you know, and, you know, what more can you ask for?
You said you don't think you'd be here if it wasn't for Mariah going hard. Do you really believe she saved your life?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. But I think that's what you do. When you find a helpmate, when you find someone that you're in matrimony with, you know, you go hard for them. I feel like I went hard for her and will still go hard. I lay down my life for her today. You know, it's what you do. It's family.
It wasn't, and I just want to make it clear, it wasn't just that moment where you had to contend with health and mortality. It's an ongoing conversation.
Yeah, I was in and out of the hospital. I mean, I was in the hospital this past December. You know, it's not as frequent, you know, but and it's just because I have the right doctors and I'm hopefully doing the right things now that it doesn't find me. But lupus, you have what they call flare-ups, and it happens when certain times of the year, seasons, stress, and some can be worse than others. So early on when I was trying to understand it, between like 2012 and 2016, I was in the hospital like a couple of times a year for stints of like 3 weeks to a month, just trying to figure it out. So and like I said, the flare-ups would cause things from everywhere from like blood clots, pulmonary embolisms, inflammation and not have the ability to walk, to kidney failure, organs not doing what, you know, they're supposed to do. So, you know, I had blood clots in my lungs and my heart, like things that would have normally killed other people. You know, the doctors be like, man, I don't understand how you didn't get affected by that, you know, and having to do, you know, infusions that are, you know, similar to chemotherapy and, you know, my hair falling out, stuff like that. Like, it's been quite the journey, but, you know, you never know how strong you are. Being strong is the only option. You just got to push through.
Crazy how that changes perspective. And as you say all of that, having not been through that myself,
Yeah.
I'm so hungry to understand the perspective that it's given you, because I don't want to have to go through that to get the perspective.
I don't wish it on anyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. You say that sitting there 30 years old.
Yeah, and this is why it's...
But man, you know what I used to do even before I was diagnosed with lupus? It's funny. And I don't even just put on my heart, but I knew it helped my perspective. Every month, started off every month, and it started to be like once a quarter. But I would go to St. Mary's Children's Hospital and read books, give toys, and really just hang out. And I wouldn't do it for publicity, or it was a reset button for me to put everything in perspective, because you would see these children who were dealing with life-altering, sometimes just chronic and detrimental disease, and they would have these smiles on their faces, man, and they would just be so happy and like hooked up to tubes. And I'm like, man, if they're having a good day, I have no complaints. I'm gonna walk out of here in good health. And I was still on the board of St. Mary's Children's Hospital, and I did a lot of work with like the Children's Miracle Network and stuff. I probably started that in like, I was in my mid-20s. And it just, I almost want to say, helped prepare me for the mindset of when I had my own diagnosis, or ultimately ended up losing my own child, you know, even a decade later after that. It was like, you got to enter these spaces with empathy, with compassion, because then that reminds you that we're all human, and make the most out of this day, because you might not be able to walk tomorrow. You might take a loss of someone that you thought was going to be there forever, that you thought was going to outlive you. And
You're talking about Zen.
Yeah. And it's like, and moving so fast, you start to regret, like, man, I didn't do what I should have done in that moment. So it's a constant reminder, you know what I mean? And I think perspective, perception, a lot of those things help us daily.
This is the most crazy stat you'll ever hear. 93.3% of you that watch this channel frequently haven't yet hit the subscribe button. So if you liked this clip and if you like what we do here, please can you do me a favor and hit that subscribe button? And in return, I promise you, I will do everything I can from now until forever to make this channel better and better and better. Thank you.